5 to 7 minute speech. So with that, welcome Linda Snyder.
So, why do I care? Why do I care about distinguished club status? Why do I care about whether or not there's a speech being given this week or next month? Why do I care about the competent communicator certification? And why do I care about competent leadership? One of the things that made me want to give this speech is I was at the West Side Advance Club, and they talked about the fact that Generation Xers and millennials do not care as much about certifications and titles and licenses as the baby boomers did. You know, I love having a CC and a CL, and I'm going for another one because you can do that more than one time. I'd love to have a distinguished Toastmaster, but it would take somebody with the enthusiasm of Mary Ann to accomplish that. But it is important to me, and it may not seem like it's important to you. So let me ask you some questions. How many people are here to become better speakers? I'm so glad to see all the hands up. All right. And how many of us, this is the last time I'll ask you to raise your hand, I promise. How many of us think that we become better speakers by practicing speeches? Okay, Ashley's not too sure, but thank you for that. So we have to give speeches in order to get better. We're not going to get better by listening to Daryl LaCroix or anybody else here. It can help us and we can learn, but if we don't apply that learning, nothing's going to happen. And I think we've also learned, although reluctantly, that the leadership path is an important part of our speaking ability. Because if I'm disorganized, I have no sense of timing, I have no sense of organization or structure. When it comes time for me to give a speech, first of all, very few people are going to ask me because they're going to say, wow, that lady's busy spinning in a circle and I don't think she can give a good speech. And second of all, I'm going to be a nervous wreck and likely not successful at my speech. So the leadership part that teaches us commitment, that teaches us organization, that teaches us to structure our time and to be accountable is also an important part of that speaking. So those are the two tracks that are most important and that are the primary tracks. And for the competent communicator, it's just simply that you give the 10 speeches. They're in your book. And you have somebody evaluate the speeches. It's not a big deal. I skipped ahead. I wanted to do Persuade with Power today. And so I'm doing the 9th speech on my 2nd CC, despite the fact that I'm only up to speech number 4. And while it's not recommended, you skip around if you've got something important. You're working on at work, you're working on at church, you're working on at life, go ahead, skip ahead. Now the competent leader, wow, that's a little complicated. I have a handout for you, and if I give it to you now, you won't hear the rest of my speech because you'll be busy looking at this handout. But we know that it is 10 steps, and a lot of them have 2 or 3 steps in them, and that you're going to want to look at those and then decide which ones you're already filling, which ones you're doing this week, and which ones you want to ask Kelly to fit you in next week so that you can achieve that competent leader. If there's something in there, for instance, there's chair a club event. If you've got 9 things and you want to get your CL, we will create an event for you. I promise. We will create an event for you. Don't let that hold you back. Well, they're never going to do a membership and I'm never going to get this. No, that's not the truth. So that's why you care about competent communicator and competent leader. We need to establish goals, and we know that goals are best if they're created, at least in our head. I'd like to have my competent communicator by June. I'd like to have my competent leader by June. That's the first step. And of course we know that those goals should be SMART, and I'm thinking S is sensible, but I'm not sure. And then it's measurable, achievable, realistic, and time sensitive. And it's cool, by saying I want to achieve my competent communicator by June, you've done all those things. And so you say it first in your head, then you write it down on a piece of paper. Maybe put it in your Toastmaster pop-up so that when it pops up on Tuesday it says, how many speeches have you given, Megan? And you're reminded that you want to get that speech scheduled. The next step is to share it with somebody else. I suggest you share it with Russ. God knows he's been asking us enough. And that you share it with Kelly. One of the things I did just right up front, I said, Kelly, please don't make me education master or presiding officer. Give me a role every week, but not one of those, because those two things are not in the Toastmasters manual. As I look further, I know I want to be a general evaluator, a Toastmaster, a table topics master. Speaker is one of the things. John is actually evaluating me as a competent leader speaker and evaluating my speech today. I didn't know that till I sat down and looked at all this. And so I will pass that out to you at the end today. And I will also, my phone number is at the bottom. If you have questions, I'm retired now, call me, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out. Now that leads us then into the Distinguished Club Program, which was always a vacuum to me. What did that mean? First of all, when somebody says, oh, the club is trying to get something and you have to participate, my initial thing was that this is some sort of a pyramid scheme. You know, they're making money off my buying these little books, and then they're going to have lots of money, and we'll all chip in $8 and they'll be millionaires. Well, I don't think that that's happening. The other thing is, I'm very aware of zero-sum games, that if I win, you lose, ha-ha, and I don't like to play those. This doesn't appear to be that. Every single club could be a distinguished club. Now, this club has been in existence since 1991. I counted the ribbons here. We have some other ribbons that are not distinguished. It looks like we've gotten distinguished club at one level or another 14 out of 23 years. And we'd like to do that again this year. And so I want to go over the distinguished clubs and why I think those things are important to you. So here are things that you need to do to have a distinguished club. And the one is not even up here, it's in the small print, is that you have to have 20 members. Now, why do we want to have 20 members? It's falling over. And there's a way to prevent that. Excuse me. There we go. You have to have 20 members. Well, if you think about what it was like today with 12 people in the room, you can see why you need 20 members. I won't go into too much detail on that unless we all want to work every role every week. And believe me, the club has been small enough that it has come to that, and it's not fun. And then there are the 2 competent communicators, 2 more competent communicators. Why do we care about these certifications? We don't want to be a club of people that get around and chat and tell funny stories and go to lunch. And that's what a club would dissolve into if it weren't for things like this that say, we want you to get more competent communicators in your club. So some of these we've already filled, and I will show you that when I pass out the handout. 2 CCs, 2 more CCs. And then the advanced communicator, bronze, silver, or gold. That means that you've not only done those 10 speeches, you've gone beyond that point. And then 1 more advanced communicator. So these are all little things, and then we get to the 4 members and the 4 new members. And why would we want to do that? Because that's kind of an annoying thing. If you've ever been here as a new member, as a guest, when it's close to June, you know that it's pretty annoying that we need 4 members and 4 new members. But have you ever tried to join a club and figured out that they've all been together for 30 years and that they really don't want any more new members? Or gone into a group of people where it was like, nah, we all really know each other, we like each other, we've told lots of table topic stories, we don't need any new Toastmasters. So this encourages that new blood and the continued growth. And then, of course, there's the minimum of 4 club officers trained. If you've been a club officer, you know that training is nothing you really look forward to. But I learned something most times, probably because I wasn't listening that well the last time that it was said to me. But so we do that twice a year. As a club officer, we go twice a year. And then membership dues and the club officer reports submitted on time. And we have done that again. So you will see when I hand this out how far we have come and how far we still need to go. So I encourage you to set a goal for yourself, to write that down, to share it with Russ and Kelly, to contact your mentor or me or whoever else you need to make sure that that goal is going to happen. The one thing that clubs sometimes do, and I know I'm way over time, the one thing that clubs sometimes do that I totally discouraged when I was president, and I still discourage it, is sometimes people will say, you know, we don't need a CL this year, we've already got them, so I'm going to postpone mine till next year. Don't do that for the club's sake. If you're close to getting a competent leader, get a competent leader. If you're close to getting a competent communicator, get a competent communicator. And I remember Dave giving his 10th speech last year just so we could get our Distinguished Club program. There's more to this. If you can get more levels of this. If you get all 10 points, then you get a presidential distinguished. So all of these things are important, but I want you to first look at this and look at my handout and decide what you're going to do to help the club and to help yourself this year. Mr. Toastmaster.